So if you want to find mean of group data, first you should be thorough with the formula for mean. What is the formula for mean for group data? When you add, we call it a sigma fi xi. This is the value of sigma fi xi. Sigma fi xi is 760. Sigma square is equal to sigma fi into xi minus x bar the whole square by n. So this table column entries are made depending on the formula. Welcome to the session, dear students. Today we'll go ahead with the problems of statistics. So we continue with exercise 15.2. Find the mean and standard deviation using the shortcut method. They mentioned to use shortcut method. So dear students, they gave observations xi 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67 and 68, and they give corresponding frequencies to 1, 12, 29, 25, 12, 10, 4 and 5. See, because they are asking you to use shortcut method, first and foremost is formula in shortcut method. So dear students, how to calculate mean? Mean is equal to sigma fi xi by n, you have learnt, but they ask you to use shortcut method. So shortcut method, mean is assumed mean plus sigma fi yi divided by capital N into class size h. This is the formula for what? Mean by what method? Shortcut method. So first we have to assume the mean. How to assume the mean? So we take average of the first value and last value. 60, 68, average of it. 60 plus 68 by 2. Two values I have taken. So that will become 64 exactly, the mid value. That is 128 by 2. That will become 64. So first your task is to get assumed mean. So how to get assumed mean? First value of the observation plus last value of the observation. Take average. First plus last by 2. If you do, you'll get assumed mean. Now you got assumed mean. Then you should calculate yi. So in order to calculate yi, so yi is xi, the observation, minus assumed mean. So you should make a column where xi minus assumed mean gives you yi. Then we need fi yi. So what are the entries of the table? So entries of the table, as usual, we'll have xi and we'll also have frequency usual. Now we should calculate yi. How to calculate yi? Yi means what? Xi minus assumed mean. For each data I should do. Then we need fi into yi. So if you add this column, you'll get sigma fi yi. So this is minimum entries of the table. So further, not only this, after you calculate assumed mean, after you calculate mean using the formula, then they want standard deviation. What is a standard deviation? What is a standard deviation? Standard deviation can also be used, symbolized by sigma. Sigma value, sigma is equal to, or standard deviation is equal to h square by n square under root n into sigma n for whole n into sigma fi yi square minus sigma fi yi the whole square. Dear students, so this square root, if you remove it will become variance. That's why let the squares be as it is. What is standard deviation? H square by n square into n into, in the bracket, sigma fi yi square minus sigma fi yi the whole square. So this is a formula for standard deviation. We should use this formula of standard deviation to derive. Now going ahead, so after you see the column, now what are the entries increases? What are the entries? We should write xi, then we should write fi. These two will be given in the problem. So xi entries and yi entries goes on. Xi is what? 60, 61 like that, 60, 61 like that. Frequency they give 2, 1 like this. And then you should find assumed mean yi. Yi is what? As xi minus yi means the difference between the observation and assumed mean. So you should make a column like this. Means, so assumed mean, I told you how to calculate. First value of observation plus last value of observation, average if you take, you will get assumed mean as 64. Then each entry should subtract. So now that is xi minus 64 you should do in this problem. So 60 minus 64. What is 60 minus 64? So that will be minus 4. then 61 minus 64 minus 3. Like this entries will go on. After yi, find fi into yi. Fi into yi means multiply. 2 into minus 4 minus 8 means you should multiply these two with 1 into minus 3 minus 3. And then afterwards you should find yi square. Yi square value means square yi. Yi is minus 4. Minus 4 whole square is 16 positive. Minus 3 whole square is plus 9. It goes on. And then you should find fi into yi square. Means you should multiply the frequency with this square. So 16 2s are 32. 9 1s are 9. Like this it goes on. Then here if you add it, you get sigma fi yi square. Then they want sum of this also. So you should add this. This will give you sigma fi yi. So now using this table, you can find what is called as x bar. What is x bar? Mean, assumed mean plus sigma fi yi divided by n into h. H is class size. See, if you see difference, so h is equal to, if you see all are having a difference of what, 61 minus 60 is what, 1, or 62 minus 60, 1. So class size is 1, h is 1. So now this is assumed mean formula. Then standard deviation. Standard deviation is equal to what? H square by n square into n into sigma fi yi minus sigma fi yi the whole square under root. This is a formula we use. So dear students, accordingly, now this is the table. They gave xi 60, 61 till 68 and they gave fi 2, 1 like that. Now add this sum is called as what? N. And yi, how to calculate yi? First you should find assumed mean. We got assumed mean 60 the first entry and 68 the last entry. By 2 if you do, you will get assumed mean as what? 64. So that's why yi value is what? Xi minus assumed mean. So that is 60 minus 64, 61 minus 64, fill this column. Then yi square, when you square this, minus 4 becomes 16, minus 3 square is 9, minus 2 square is 4, minus 1 square is 1, 0 square is 0, 1 square is 1, 2 square 4, 3 square 9, thus yi square. Now fi yi, so multiply fi with yi, these two 16s are, so fi into, sorry, yi, this is fi into yi. Fi into yi means to multiply fi with this yi. If you multiply these two columns and enter, minus 2 into minus 4 minus 8, 1 into minus 3 minus 3, 12 into minus 2 minus 24, like that you fill this and add this. When you add this, you will get sigma fi yi value, that becomes 0 here in this case. Then fi yi square, so multiply fi with yi square, these two columns you multiply. So 2 into 16, 32, and 1 into minus fi into y square, y square, so these two, 1 into 9 is 9, 12 4s are 48, and fill this. After you add this column, sum of this column is sigma fi yi square. So this is sigma fi yi, this is sigma fi yi square. Now use the formula for mean, assumed mean plus sigma fi yi by n into h. So assumed mean we got 64 plus sigma fi yi. So in the table sigma fi yi is 0. So write 0 divided by n. N means what? Sum of the frequencies. Sum of the frequencies is 100. Substitute into h, class size 1. You will get again 64. So therefore by shortcut method mean is what? 64. Then standard deviation, use the formula. What is the formula I taught you? Root of h square by n square into n into root of fi minus yi the whole square minus sigma fi yi the whole square. See here how to calculate is simple. So standard deviation you can reduce the formula now. Root h square is h, root n square is n, and the remaining parts you keep them in root. Then n into sigma fi yi square minus sigma fi yi the whole square. Substitute h is class size 1, n is 100, root of, again this is 100 into root of fi square, that is fi in the table, so sigma fi 286 it will be, minus 0, sigma fi yi is 0, 0 square, so 1 by 100, all of you know root of 100 gives you 10 and root 286 you will have. So now 0, 0 cancels, you are left out with 1 by 10 into root of 286 gives you 16.9. You can use calculator. 16.9 by 10 becomes 1.69. So these are the calculations. Now I hope all of you got how to calculate standard deviation by shortcut method. So now again, find the mean and variance of the frequency distribution. They wanted to find mean and variance. They did not mention which method. So mean by normal method you can calculate. What is mean? Sigma fi xi by n, if you do, that is more than sufficient. Or if you use assumed mean method, you can go by that method. So here we go by assumed mean method, that is shortcut method, because in the heading in the first case they told a shortcut method. So we continue the same. So class intervals they give 0, 30, 30, 60. But if you see the class size, H is what? Upper limit minus lower limit of any class. Class is continuous. 30, it ends at 30, it starts with 30. It ends at 60, starts with 60. So 30 upper limit minus lower limit. So 30 minus 0 gives you 30. 30 is the class size. Assumed mean. Assumed mean means lower limit plus upper last value. So lower limit of the least and upper limit of the highest. 210 by 2 L2. So I'll get 210 by 2. 210 by 2 is 2 ones are 2, 0s are 105. Assumed mean we should calculate. We got 105. Then mean, how to calculate mean? What is the formula for mean by shortcut method? X bar is equal to assumed mean plus sigma fi yi divided by n into class size. So we use this formula to get the value. Then further, so we also want standard deviation. In order to calculate standard deviation, what is the formula? H square by n square. Mean and variance they want. Dear students, variance is root of standard deviation. So therefore, for standard deviation, whatever the formula you have learned, same formula you write and remove the root. Same formula will write and remove the root. So first let me write the standard deviation formula. So standard deviation means sigma is equal to square root of h square by n square n into sigma fi yi minus sigma fi yi the whole square. This is a standard deviation formula, but we need variance. Variance means what? Square of this. Sigma square. When you do the square of this, square root goes off. Or remove square root, that's the variance. What is the variance formula? Root of standard deviation. Or standard deviation is root of variance. Standard deviation is root of variance. So if you want variance, square it. So variance is square of standard deviation. Standard deviation the whole square. That's why write the standard deviation formula and square it. What is standard deviation formula? Standard deviation is h square by n square n into sigma fi yi minus sigma fi yi the whole square under the root. So now square the standard deviation. So when you square this, what happens? When you square this, square root cancels. So that variance means sigma square will say. So that is h square by n square n into sigma fi yi square minus sigma fi yi the whole square. So no root. If you put root, it will become standard deviation. Without root, we call it as variance. Variance is the square of standard deviation. So variance is what? Square of standard deviation. That's it. So now we'll continue with the same problem, the other problem, what I am talking about this now. So variance is, what is variance? Square of standard deviation. So always remember, variance is square of standard deviation the whole square. So now we use the column. Now make the columns. One is class interval fi. Xi means midpoint. Midpoint of 0 and 30 is 15. 30 and 60, 45. 60 and 90, 75. Midpoint of 90 and 120. Now to calculate 90 plus 120 by 2, if you do enough, that is gives you midpoint. That is 210 divided by 20. 210 divided by 2. So 2 ones are, and you calculate it, so it will 2 ones are 205, 105. Like that midpoint, 120, 150, midpoint is 165. Midpoints, so when they give class interval, xi is midpoints. Then you know how to find yi. To find yi, assumed mean. How to calculate assumed mean? Lowest value of lower interval to the highest value of upper limit. Upper limit of the last interval, you add and take average. So 0 plus 120 by 2 gives you 105. 105 is the assumed mean. How to calculate yi? Yi is xi minus assumed mean by the class size. Class size here is 30. by h. So now we have yi value. So or directly if you subtract, earlier the class size was 1, but here class size is not 1, it differs by 30. So divided by class size. So xi, what is xi? 15. 15 minus 105 divided by 30 if you do minus 3. 45 minus 105 divided by 30 if you do minus 2. So what is yi? Yi is equal to xi minus assumed mean by h. If h is 1, you can neglect it because anything by 1 is same. So here you have to introduce h. Why? Because class size is 30. So you will get yi, then you do yi square, then you do fi into yi, multiply fi with yi, you will get a column, then fi into yi square gives you other column. So now continue with the formula. What is the mean? Assumed mean plus sigma fi yi by n into h. So from the table, sigma fi yi. Sigma fi yi means sum of this. This is called as sigma fi into yi. And sum of the frequencies we call it as n. Sigma fi yi is 2 and n is 30. Substituted 2 by 30 and assumed is 105. So in the place of 105, this from the table 2, from the table 30 into class size is 30. If you do, you'll get 107. So now you got mean. What is the mean value? Mean x bar is what? Exactly 107. This is by shortcut method. Then variance. Variance means remove the root of standard deviation. Then it will become h square by n square n into sigma fi yi square minus sigma fi yi the whole square. See, h is class size. What is the class size? So upper limit minus lower limit of any interval, if you take, it is 30. And n square. What is n square? Observe n, 30. Again, sum of the frequencies. N is also 30. So that's why 30 square into n is 30 into fi yi square. So if you see, sigma fi yi square is 76. This is sigma fi into yi this square. This is fi into yi square summation 76. So and this is sigma fi yi is 2 square we should do. So now this is 76 and this is 2. Sigma fi yi from the table sigma fi yi is 2. So but we need whole square. 2 square becomes 4. Substitute 30 into 76 minus 4. Simplify this. If you simplify, you will get 2276. So this is the formula for finding what? Mean and variance. N into sigma fi yi square minus sigma fi yi the whole square. N retains only for this particular term. So 30 into 76. You do 30 into 76 and subtract it and divide it. This is n into, for the first term this is n. N is not for the whole term. So now in the mean or variance, say standard deviation h square by n square into n into sigma fi yi square minus sigma fi yi the whole square. See this whole thing under root. This product is for both, but n is for only the first term. So if you want variance, this we say sigma square, and variance sigma we say standard deviation. So if you want variance, for variance you remove the square root. It will become h square by n square into n into sigma fi yi square minus sigma fi yi the whole square. Once you know the formula, you can construct the table required. So same thing we have done, and we'll get for this particular question whatever we are solving. 30 into 76 minus 4 divided by 30 square, if you do 2276 you will get. Same technique we can use for next problem. So next problem resembles same. So construct fi, then midpoints. So 0 to 10 midpoint is 5 and 10 to 20 midpoint is 10, 20 to 30 midpoint is 25, 30 to 50 midpoint is 35, 120 to 150 midpoint is 45. Then you do fi yi. How to calculate yi? Assumed mean. How to calculate assumed mean? So lower limit of the first one, upper limit for the last one, 150 plus 0, average of those two. For 150 and 0, the middle value divided by class size we should do. So that is divided, now 150 and 0 gives you 150 divided by class size. What is the class size here? 10. So or you can take any mid value. So from 0 to 150 I can take the middle value observation, and I can take assumed mean, any mean within this data, which I see here most occurred is 15 and For these two, if you take average, also you'll get assumed mean. So then yi is xi minus assumed mean by 10. Follow the same procedure, or I gave one more technique for assumed mean. Lower limit of this and upper limit, if you had add and divide by 2, that is also fair enough, and accordingly you can calculate and you'll get this value as the answer. Hope all of you got mean and variance. First become thorough with the formulae, then you can solve all the problems. What are the formulae? So you should become thorough with the formula for assumed mean. So mean by shortcut method is assumed mean plus sigma fi yi by n into class size, and standard deviation is h square by n square, n into sigma fi into yi minus sigma fi into yi the whole square, here yi square under what root, the whole thing under root. Remove this, you will get variance, or simply remember variance is standard deviation whole square. And how to calculate yi is what, xi observation minus assumed mean divided by class size. For assumed mean, I told one technique, anything fair enough within the data, you can assume a mean. I hope all of you got this. I will get the answer as 132 for the next problem. So I'll see you in my next session. Please sit and practice all the problems. Thanks for attending. Thank you.